Hey everyone, welcome back to Imagination Tech. So today we're going to be taking a look at this frame from Microheli, which is meant to be a conversion frame for your Tinyhawk Freestyle. So if you're just tired of the way the Tinyhawk Freestyle looks, or if you have a broken Tinyhawk Freestyle flight controller, then you might want to check this frame out because you can put your electronics in here, or maybe you can just use the frame and do a scratch build yourself. So do I like this frame? Let's check this out. So today we're going to be taking a look at this frame sent in to me by Khoa Nguyen of Microheli, and this is supposed to be a complete replacement frame for the Tinyhawk Freestyle, and this comes in 5 colors. This one is the yellow version, that it also comes in red, green, blue, and white. All right. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and open this thing and take a look at what's inside. So this one looks like they are stapled. I think they are stapled. As I was about to say, this looks like the TPU, or I think these are the PETG parts for the camera, and these are the motor mounts. I think these are like a TPU for soft mounting your motors, and they can, as you can see, they can take either a three hole motor or a 4-hole motor, 4-screw motor. And one of the last TPU parts is this battery holder. And as you can see, they're already pre-installed with some screws, so you can just tighten them when you're finishing up your build. This is stiffer. This is not TPU. This is probably made of PETG. So some of these parts are soft. So this is also TPU, and I think this is the only one that's made out of PETG. And finally, we have these. I believe these are spare arms or something. No, these are the for the top plate and the camera cage. And also comes with a unibody frame. It seems to be. So unfortunately, this thing ran out of batteries, but this is 2 millimeters thick, so it's quite nice. It's quite a stiff carbon, but obviously you can break it. I think you can break it even with your just bare hands. So anyway, it also comes with a manual, so at least you know how to put this thing together. It's a very simple manual though. It's just a diagram of where the screws and the TPU parts are supposed to go. But yeah, so this thing can accept either 16 by 16, 20 by 20, or 25 by 25 board. And it accepts a 19 by 19 camera. I think that's a micro-sized camera, and an 11.0X motors, 11XX motors. So you can have an 1103, which the Tinyhawk Freestyle comes with, or 1104. So this is the Microheli frame after we put it all together. It was a very, very straightforward build. All of the screws are come pre-attached with these printed parts, which really makes it really very straightforward and very obvious where the screws should go together. But it did come with these instructions, which was really, really helpful. It was a really nice touch. Now you might be thinking, do we really need these instructions? And again, the screws are very self-explanatory, so you probably could get away with this manual. But I really like this that they provided this manual. It's a really nice touch, because quite too often when you get a frame, you're just given a Ziploc bag of screws and standoffs, and you just have to figure out which one goes where. And this one, it's very clear. It's a 4-step manual. So if you've ever built a set of Legos, then you'd be very much at home with that thing. So let's go ahead and weigh this thing. Right, let's tear that off. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but if I move this scale right here, the numbers don't show up, and right here it shows up just a little bit. And this frame weighs around 17.9. Yeah, 17.9, 18 grams. Let's just put it on its back. Yeah, pretty much the same, 17.9 or 18. So you can see all of those different hole mounting patterns. So that really gives you a flexibility. So even if you're not upgrading with from the Tinyhawk Freestyle, you can just put in any of your flight controllers and ESCs and 11XX mode here, and you can just build. You can just use this frame and build your own. I'm not even sure if you can still call this toothpick yet, because it looks like a traditional freestyle frame. So I think the look of the Tinyhawk Freestyle still looks a lot meaner and a little bit cooler, I think. But overall, I still like how this thing looks. So if you don't know what the Tinyhawk Freestyle looks like, I have a video of that, and I'll just post a link up here. It is $21.99. You can get it from the Microheli website, and I will link it in the description below. So anyway, let's go ahead and put our Tinyhawk Freestyle electronics into this, and we'll get the all-up weight again, and then let's see how it flies. So here's my Tinyhawk Freestyle, and it's pretty banged up because I fly it all the time. But yeah, so this is definitely not the stock Tinyhawk Freestyle. I think I have to replace these props. This is not a stock Tinyhawk Freestyle, so if you have a Tinyhawk Freestyle and you don't have this frame but you still want to do some upgrades, you would probably want to check out a video. I've made a video about some upgrades you can do for your Tinyhawk Freestyle. I'll post a link up here on the corner, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and open this thing. Okay, now that we have the top removed, first thing you would probably want to liberate would be the flight controller stack, and you would do so by unscrewing these 4 screws, and probably you can just hold on to this this hex nut while you're unscrewing so that it doesn't rotate along with it. And once you got that out, just do that for all 4 of these screw holes. Now that the stack is loose, you can now proceed with unscrewing all of the motors. One thing I did not like about this frame is that it uses these Phillips screws, these little tiny Phillips screws, and I think they use this because of to save on weight. But a screw this size, it's the head is going to strip quite easily, and after a couple of times that you have to remove these screws, for example, you're going to strip those screws and you're going to have to replace them eventually, or you might have a screw that's going to be stuck on permanently, which does not lend to the maintainability of this frame. So if you have to get into your flight controller, you have to remove this top plate, or you can remove the side plate, which is quite difficult. So I would have preferred if they used like M3 screws or something like this, with a 1.5 millimeter head. It's going to be a bit heavier, but that's going to be stronger in the long run. But yeah, that's just one pet peeve of mine. As previously mentioned, the arms can accept either a 3 or 4 hole motor, and in our case, this is the stock Emax motor, which has 3 mounting holes, and it gets a little bit tricky to mount. What I've found that is the easiest way is to just get all of the screws in, get the 3 of the screws in first through the holes. Once you get all of those 3 holes in and protruding out on the top side, then it becomes an easier task to align them with the 3 motor holes on the motors themselves. So let me just do this quickly. Alright, so now I have 3 of the hex screws protruding on the top side, which now makes it easier for me to align it with the mounting holes on the motor, and with just a little bit of wiggling I would be able to get them perfectly aligned, and then I would be able to tighten these screws up one by one. And I wouldn't tighten any one particular screw first, but I would just tighten them a little at a time until all of them catches on to the motor. Okay, so now I've mounted all of my motors, but I think I made my first mistake already. So I was thinking that I would just place the whole top side on top and screw it back on, but apparently these TPU parts go underneath this, underneath the flight controller. So I'm gonna have to undo these screws, undo this whole side plate thing, and see if we can, maybe slide it through one side, or worst case, we have to remove all of these, disassemble it completely, and assemble it over the flight controller. So that's two things that I don't like about this frame. Is first was the screws, and now it's really hard to disassemble and put this on over. But hopefully, once you have this on, you won't have any reason to take it apart again. Okay, so I've screwed on the two TPU parts there, and now we can screw on our flight controller, and hopefully that's going to be the end of our troubles. So let me just go ahead and screw this thing on. Okay, at this point, you might want to do all of your mods now. If you haven't screwed on your flight controller, then you could change the connector on your, from the dual PH2 connectors to this XT30 if you wish. Now would be a good time to change your receiver, change your VTX, because once this comes in, it's a pain in the ass to come off. So you might want to do that now. I've already secured the VTX with some VHB tape. So now we'll proceed with closing this up. And the way I would do that would be first to screw it from here, from the side. Just tighten the screw, and then screw that here on the 3 points, and then I will be screwing on the other side of the plate here. And I already removed this this battery holder for your 1S batteries, because I have 2S batteries and I have 1S batteries. So if you have this, it's you can only use the 1S batteries and not not 2S batteries. Okay, so I've managed to close up the frame with no further problems, thankfully. So I've yet to mount the camera, but here's the cool part. So this is a micro-sized camera, and you can actually fit a micro-sized camera. I'm not sure why you would want to, but it would work with the stock screws that came with it. Now, if you have a smaller camera like this Cadex EOS 2 camera, or Runcam Nano, or any nano camera, you can just use this mount and then screw this on here. But here's another cool thing is, if you have the stock camera from your Tinyhawk S or Tinyhawk Freestyle, it actually has slots for that Emax camera. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to show you that. Right now I'm just going to go over here and screw this camera in. Oh, by the way, take note that this screw, you can't screw this in unless you have you remove your motor, because it's not gonna go in. It's like right in the line of the motor. So if you have to remove your plate, aside from removing all of the side plates and everything, you have to remove your motors so that you can get to the screw and disassemble the whole thing. So again, I think I haven't stressed this enough, but this thing is not a maintainable frame. Once you build it, you better hope you don't need to go under the hood again. The stock screw, this is actually the stock screw, which has a Phillips head that is used for the camera. However, it's too short to reach the camera itself, so it's just going to be, it's just going to reach the TPU adapter for that camera. Thankfully, I do have spare screws. This is, I think, I'm not sure where this came from, probably from my Tinyhawk S, or maybe from the Tinyhawk Freestyle. But unfortunately, if you don't have any spare screws, so you're out of luck. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to source your own M2 screws. So who exactly is this frame for? I don't think, definitely not for beginners, I don't think, because again, it's really hard to put together with all of the electronics. So you better have a fair amount of experience building micros or building quads before you even attempt to do something like this. Alright, so we've just finished converting my Tinyhawk Freestyle into this Microheli Micro Freestyle freestyle quad. So yeah, I didn't use the included TPU battery mounts because I have 2S batteries. So this is just going to go up here as usual, and I'm just gonna mount it via the strap that came with a Tinyhawk Freestyle. So I'd be mounting it just the same as the Tinyhawk Freestyle. But if I had, you know, two 1S batteries, then I would just mount it the same way. Just plug it in. Oh, this is a BT 2.0 connector. I have a video about this. I'm just gonna link to it that. But yeah, this adapter is for PH2. So yeah, you know, it's going to be just exactly the same as the Tinyhawk Freestyle, except that in a different frame. So I could just do that, plug it, sorry, strap that in, then plug it in. Okay. Yep, and I'm good to go. It seems that everything is working. Diamond VTX buttons are still accessible, so that's a good thing. I've also mounted, just zip tied my antenna like this because I've already upgraded my VTX to Diamond VTX and also the antenna. But if you have the stock VTX and antenna, then I've seen pictures where, you know, the stock dipole antenna is just sticking out through here. So that's something you can do. All right, so I think that is going to be it. The only thing left for us to do would be to change these props and then take this out to the field and fly. Almost forgot to weigh this thing. Now let's just see how it weighs. It weighs around 62.5 grams, 60.3 grams. This at 62.4 grams, 62.5 grams is a bit hefty, especially if you consider adding a battery. It's 91.1 grams. So that is a bit heavy for a toothpick, and it's not a toothpick, it is a micro quad. So it is a bit heavy, but you know, for freestyle they say heavier is better. So anyway, let's just go ahead and take this out to the field. That is it for my review of this Microheli frame. I really like how it came with instructions that were very clear and very easy to follow. I also like how they made the camera adapter, which if you have a Tinyhawk S or Tinyhawk Freestyle, it can accept the stock camera, which not a lot of frames can boast about. So this one can definitely do that. What I didn't like was that the it came with Phillips head screws, which I fear is going to strip quite very soon after a few disassemblies. And speaking of disassembly, I really don't like the design how this thing is put together, because you have to remove the whole thing. You have to disassemble the whole thing if you ever need to get into your flight controller stack. And even some of the screws, you need to take off the motors just to undo some of the screws. And you have to take off the side plates and everything just to get into that flight controller stack. But overall, this is a nice looking frame. It flies really nice, and it's just as heavy as the stock Tinyhawk Freestyle frame. So what do you think? Are you going to put your Tinyhawk Freestyle into this frame, or are you going to build a scratch build with this frame? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, click on the like. Make sure you're subscribed so you're notified of new videos that I put out. And as always, keep building and keep flying.